Is syphilis responsible for Van Gogh's artwork? Perhaps mental illness in combination with the human need for social acceptance led him to contracting the sexually transmitted disease, which subsequently may have exacerbated his mental illness and in turn was responsible for paintings like Starry Night. Hi, I'm Alexander Sorakis, and I would like to talk about the most famous post-impressionist painter in the world and how other factors may or may have not contributed to some of the world's greatest paintings of all time. First, I will showcase a timeline that may explain Van Gogh's journey to becoming one of the most well-known artists in the world. Secondly, I will elaborate on neurological syphilis and its possibility in having a role. Let's start with Van Gogh's life journey. Van Gogh's journey can be separated into several stages in time. Let's start with his childhood. He was born in March 30th, 1853. His father was a pastor and was the eldest of 6 children. He was said to be quiet and often observe nature. Now let's discuss his formal years and his start into the art business. At 16, he was apprenticed into the Hague branch of dealers. In 1874, he is said to have been fired due to complications, something having to do with a woman. It's important to note that 1874 was also the start of the Impressionist movement. In 1877, he worked at a bookstore and then took to preaching, but was let go in 1879. Now let's talk about the rise and fall of Van Gogh and his decade of creativity. After sustaining a harsh winter without money, Van Gogh dedicated himself to becoming a painter in 1880. From 80 to 84, this is where he begins to hone in on his skills. In 1882, Van Gogh is in a relationship with Sienne, a prostitute who was heavily pregnant at the time, but not by Van Gogh. It was said they were both admitted to the hospital at the same time. Sienne was giving birth. He was experiencing fever symptoms and gonorrhea. And you can find that on vincentvanGogh.org. From 1884 to 1888, Van Gogh becomes more masterful and begins working with other artists, such as Paul Gauguin. And in Christmas of 1888, they had a fight which ended in him losing a portion of the ear. Some say that he gave that portion of his ear to a prostitute at his favorite brothel. Unfortunately, a few weeks later, Van Gogh was showing signs of behavioral problems and was admitted into an asylum. Some say this is where his best works were created. After the year in the asylum in 1890, Van Gogh was released. He stayed with a friend and inevitably attempted suicide, in which he lost his life 2 days later. The life of Van Gogh and his paintings may have been influenced by something more than Impressionism. Let's elaborate on mental illness and the possibility of contracting neurosyphilis. And we can discern from vincentvanGogh.org that he was no stranger to brothels. Dangerous behavior, such as visiting brothels and prostitutes, increases the risk for STDs, and you can find that on the Center of Disease Control website. But what is less known is that contracting syphilis can lead to other disorders, neurological disorders, and they can remain dormant for up to 10 years. And the symptoms range from muscle aches to neurological problems. Van Gogh may have been unaware that his sex workers were infected or they were asymptomatic. And this is according to an article reviewed by WebMD. Van Gogh's history of visiting brothels, professional hardships, and institutionalization may have contributed to some of the most famous paintings of all time. Though some of the details are debatable, you must wonder how. The severed ear gift to the prostitute, the year at the asylum, the suicide, relationships with prostitutes that are pregnant are evidence of neurological or neurotic behavior, you have to question, were his best paintings a byproduct of a sexually transmitted disease? Some say that he was asymptomatic. Who knows? Was Starry Night conceived in a post-impressionist era brothel 8 years before? Which Van Gogh painting do you enjoy or dislike the most? And what is your impression? Thank you.